But you never know if I do something like this, what'll happen.
Yeah.
I got lots of toys
All
here
the
that I try to
tricks,
interrupt. I try to interrupt people. Hey, welcome to the continuing winemaker series here at the Wine Month Club. And wow, what a surprise this morning. We had Josh Phelps come and taste some wines with us, and we thought, what a fun history and family business to interview with. And so I wanted to have some conversation with Josh here and taste some of the wines, which are great. So we had a brief conversation about some amazing family history in the wine business. You worked for your father. Your father's worked in Bordeaux.
Father works for me.
Oh, he does now? Good.
No,
I'm glad to hear that.
He consults for me. Yeah. My dad started his career. He went after University of Bordeaux, wound up working at Petrus with Christian Moex, and became the founding winemaker at Dominus.
Wow.
In '83, I believe.
Yeah, right.
And it's a couple years before I was born, and made that wine for the first 12, 13 vintages. Went on to make Camus for a long time, and many other brands. And
so is he French?
No, he's not. I think he kind of thinks he's French. He's fluent in French,
yeah, of course.
French, and goes to France a lot. But no, a little bit of French heritage, but grew up in Northern California.
And decided to go to the University of Bordeaux
for grad school. He went to Davis for winemaking. And that was kind of the natural choice to go
interesting.
Learn French. And
what an internship.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and you went to Chico.
I went to Chico. I stayed in California. I went to school for business, but had been learning about winemaking, since I was really young.
Of course. And
so kind of just had that in the blood, and decided to go that route.
I have to introduce you to the kid that's sitting up there. He's an intern from Chico, and he's
cool.
a graphic artist. Yeah,
that's
doing
awesome.
a great job.
Yeah, I would imagine so.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
naturally. So these three wines are your current portfolio, but you've made other things along the way.
Yeah, in 2010, I started my first company called Taken Wine Company. I made a portfolio of California wines under that, and sold my interest just over a year ago. But in the meantime, I'd started making some wines with my dad. He was kind of helping me, and we did a Steady State, which is Napa Cabernet, that we made in 2015 for the first time, and then in 2016 we added to the portfolio, and now we've kind of launched this new company. I have the
what was the official names?
The official names
of the company.
Grounded Wine Company.
Oh, Grounded. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm wearing the
That's
shirt.
how astute I am.
Yeah.
So this is fun because we were talking about facilities and licensing and all those things, and so these wines are made in their respective regions wherever they're at, and you have
Correct.
consultants there, you have vineyard managers that are watching the grapes, everything.
And then my dad and I are circulating the West Coast during harvest to all these places. I mean, I literally spend a week, and I just kind of like do the circuit, and then do that 1 week, and then take a week off, and then do it again.
Wow, that's it.
It's kind of fun.
Vineyard management as well, the whole thing.
We get involved in the vineyard management. Yeah, we're really working with like ideally one or two vineyard management companies in each region to keep it fairly simplified. Except in Napa, we seem to have diversified a bit more.
Nothing simple in Napa. But
yeah.
So you mentioned something about organic grapes, that you're gonna get some organic Pinot Noir. But tell me about that for a second. Because
in Oregon,
one of the things that's happening that I've seen here a lot, and I've interviewed 2 or 3 winemakers from Burgundy to Bordeaux to Oregon that are heavy into biodynamic farming and that whole concept. What's the general word on the street about what's happening with that?
I don't know. I'm not super versed on biodynamics. Yeah. I think it's a bit of a hoax, possibly.
You mean the moon pulling the nutrients into the...
So I don't think I have no quarrel with it. It's not something that I necessarily take super seriously. I do think organic farming, when possible, is great for a lot of reasons. There's a lot of risk in it, so I think there's an argument both ways. Or you can be sustainable and not organic, but still be doing the right thing,
right?
Which I feel like we do with all of our vineyards. But in Oregon, in Willamette Valley, Oregon, where we're doing our first Pinot Noir this vintage, I'm finding that the majority of people I'm talking to are farming organically.
Yes,
it's just kind of like the movement up there, and I'm seeing it in Washington a bit too.
Well, it is Oregon, right?
So. Yeah, so we're that was just kind of like something that we weren't really necessarily planning on, and it's just kind of the case. So we're not necessarily making organic wine because we're still,
once you get to the once you get into the winery, it's not necessarily organic.
Yeah, we're gonna make great, clean, sound wines,
right.
but with organic grapes, which is cool.
So, which we see a lot of. I see a lot of bottles that say made from organic grapes, but obviously that means the facility is not necessarily organic. And the biodynamic thing is interesting to me. But what's interesting to me is that much of it is Pinot Noir because it's just so terroir specific, and it just loves it. And would I say they're better? No, I would say they're different.
Yeah,
they do have a complexity difference between them.
Yeah,
and I just find it fascinating.
I do too.
But we get a lot of wines that are organic, not necessarily at least organic grapes. But does it matter if the moon is in the sun? You know, that part's kind of hard to fathom, right? But
yeah, but the whole thing, it's kind of cool. I mean, the whole thing, you know, it's a story, and it's just to me, it's like more care that's going into the process.
That's
which
true.
It can't be a bad thing, right?
No, right. That's true. And
I
think one thing that when it comes to the consumer that isn't grasped enough is how much influence and how important it is for the soil and the weather and the grape.
Yeah.
The grape quality that starts in the vineyard, and then not exemplified by we went to Beaujolais a few weeks ago and went into Chateau de Jacques, which is the Louis Jadot property.
Of course.
And this guy was a huge ambassador for the district.
Yeah.
Cyril Chiroux, and just we had two other couples. They were fascinated by this concept because he actually had dirt in buckets, and you could put your hand in the dirt.
Yeah,
and go,
yeah.
This wine was volcanic, and this one's clay, and here's the difference.
Yeah.
You start registering that, so it matters at that point. And one of the things about your wines that I did notice is that, particularly at the reds, it's Napa.
Yeah.
And it's Washington.
Yeah,
Just
which
when
is
you taste
important.
them. Yeah, which is
There's too many cases where you don't get that,
right, exactly.
Which kind of defeats.
And
the
Paso
purpose.
has its character though, and Rosé it's a little.
Yeah, I
more
wish I had
retail.
the Paso Red that we're releasing on September 1st today because I'm really excited about
And what's
that.
the base of that one?
Grenache.
Grenache. This is a
Yeah.
Grenache Rosé, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, the Paso Red's like 70% Grenache, and then some Syrah, a tiny bit of Petit Syrah. Yeah, so this is 100% Rosé of Grenache from a single vineyard on the west side. Older vines. This program, we're gonna broaden it's not just gonna continue to be West Paso. I'd like to actually bring in a little bit of more cooler climate Grenache, but I want to keep it Grenache. I love Rosé of Grenache. I think you get a lot of that strawberry.
well, this is a full mouthful of rosé, that's for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
the weight's great.
Yeah, it's not understated.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And we were talking about Paso a little bit. So I used to have 60 acres unplanted. Yeah, that's your spit bucket. We're patriotic.
Yeah, I love it.
We had
It matches the label.
Yeah, this is really cool. I love it. So we had 60 acres behind Meridian, and we bought it, I think, in 2002 or so. And then the guy behind me planted all his. And in 2004, the glut came, and he had no contracts. It just hung there. It just dried up and went away.
Yeah.
We were talking about how there's, it's agricultural, right? So it peaks and valleys, and when there's lots of inventory now, and maybe in a few years there won't be so much. But
Yeah.
this reeks of wonderful Paso and only because of its weight,
Yeah,
right?
I agree. I love it down there. Part of the reason that it's fun to make wine in Paso and Oregon and Washington are because Napa's kind of like Disneyland, And you go to these other places though, and it's like Paso's. The people are so genuine and down to earth, and it's like these like real farming communities.
Yes.
And it's fun to kind of like have your stake in these different communities. Like I have friends that are winemakers in Oregon and Paso and Washington, and you go to these places and you're like part of that community.
Right.
And to me, that's just fun because it's so. I love Napa. I mean, I'm always going to be in Napa, I think, but there's something just kind of low key and cool and authentic about
Still
those
rural.
three regions. Yeah.
They still have the rodeo there, which is great.
No, it's a special place.
Even
for sure.
Sonoma's a little more rural than
It is, yeah.
Napa is, and
Yeah, I mean, I'm from St. Helena, and it's changed a lot.
oh, it
since
changed
I
a
was
lot.
kid. Yeah. But
My dad dragged me up there when I was 12. I hate to say how long ago it was, 30-something years ago. And we went antique farm wine accoutrement shopping, wine presses, load up the station wagon with fruit presses and wine presses and all these accoutrements, which many have been stolen since. But, I'm like, it was a totally different world then, right? We were just up there, just before the fires.
you'll have to let me know next time you come up.
I'd like to do that.
We'll go to Press and drink some old Napa. Have you been there?
No.
That's my spot. It's a
Oh.
restaurant. Not my spot, my favorite
Yeah.
spot, but it's a restaurant in
It's the
St. Helena
Helena?
that
Yeah.
has the
We walked by
largest
it.
wine cellar of old Napa.
Really?
Yeah.
That'd be fun to do.
Founded by Leslie Rudd. Who just
sure.
passed, but was one of our partners on this project. So
I'll take you up on it. Now, this is Washington, and it's Cab, and
this is this first vintage is actually slightly Merlot dominant, but you've got Merlot, Cab, Malbec, and like 1 or 2% Syrah. And Malbec's a really powerful component for me in that area. The next vintage is Cab dominant with a little Malbec, basically. And I think there's and a little Merlot, but
Malbec from Washington, I couldn't tell you last time I tasted one.
This is all from Red Mountain and Horse Heaven Hills.
Yes.
So to me, two great wine growing regions in Columbia Valley. And I think that the Malbec, especially in Red Mountain, just really stands out to me. It's flashy. It's not too tannic. It's just a really pleasant component with Cabernet.
What strikes me in this particular bottling is the balance. Not one piece jumps out at you, but the whole thing is it.
Thank you.
Ensemble.
I only did like 20%, 15% New French Oak, and then the rest is seasoned. Right. So you get it provides a little bit of structure, but I didn't want this to be something that was manipulated by oak, just because the fruit's not uber powerful.
It's very soft, a little bit of green pepper, all is in that. Really spectacular balance. Hence, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, as we.
You get a nice. I mean, I think that there's a lot of really bright, flashy red fruit, but you get a nice slight herbal component. Not like an underripe herbal component, but just that that's kind of a Washington signature.
Yes.
Which reminds me of Bordeaux a little bit, and it just makes it's pleasant, you know.
When we went to France. We went. I just happened to be invited to Lafite, so we went to see Lafite, and I was, mesmerized, of course.
No big deal.
What's interesting to me is towns like Pauillac, which aren't substantial towns.
Yeah.
They're sort of like depressed, right?
Yeah.
And here we are in this town where there's no real place to eat. There's only really one hotel, and it's flanked by two of the probably richest wineries in the world, Latour and Lafite. And I'm thinking, what an interesting dynamic or juxtaposition, because you do that in Napa. It's all wealth when you go up there. But
yeah.
Then when we left, the next day or 2 days later is when that hailstorm came. I think on the left bank though, and just devastated them.
Yeah.
Stripped a bunch of vines. It was incredible. But I think it was early enough in the season where their ability to recover. Amazing. So tell us about this. This is Napa Juice.
So this is the first wine I made under Grounded Wine Company. This is 73% Cabernet Sauvignon. Next vintage, it's called Cabernet. Kind of an overthought on my part, just not doing 75%. But what's cool about this wine is it's got 73% Cab.
So you crossed over 75, you can call it Cab, but we
Correct,
didn't do that.
which we will do.
Okay.
But what's cool about this vintage is, which will vary vintage to vintage, because we're sourcing from the same properties we're adding each year, and some years certain stuff is better than others, and you include it. I mean, this happens to have all 5 Bordeaux varietals, so about equal parts of the other 4: Malbec, Cab Franc, Merlot, and Petit Verdot, which I think just gives it a complexity that's fun, and
definitely
it's not over extracted. I mean, I think it's ripe and it has a nice extraction, and it's like classic Napa Cab, but it's not over extracted. There's still acid. It's not, the tannins are not non-existent.
No, you're right.
And that's the kind of, I was, raised on these wines, like my dad was making like Camus back then, and
which are pretty aggressive.
And Dominus, but like this really classic Napa Cab,
Yes.
And so this is kind of an homage to that, but it's definitely friendly and soft enough to just open a bottle
Again,
and enjoy.
The balance is great. The approachability now certainly has life to grow in the bottle like that. And it's homage to your father being a Bordeaux guy.
Yeah.
Right?
This is a fun wine to make, and we age this in 50% New French Oak, 50% seasoned French Oak, and a lot of passion goes into this wine, and we work with farmers in Napa that I've known. Some of the farmers I've known since I was a kid, and they were kids, and we've grown up together, and they're the farmers that are taking care of these properties now, and we have a lot of flexibility and are constantly bringing on new properties, and it's been great with my current partners now. Is just that kind of do what you're going to do and
It's
make it happen. So it's fun.
To me, it's like cooking, and we were talking a little bit about biodynamic and organic farming, and the Blue Hill Farms in New York, and he wrote a book called The Third Plate. Talks about farming and wheat and all these things, and basically almost all cooking books, which I'm fascinated by, also come down to the passion. Right? Recipe is a recipe.
Yeah.
The percentage of grapes in here are just the percentage of grapes.
Yeah.
It takes somebody with passion and interest to make sure that it's the best it can be.
Yeah.
And it starts in the farm, and it's testimony in these wines. You guys are doing a great job.
And that's exactly. I mean, the percentage of the grape it's not a formula. So next year, I can't remember the exact breakdown on the 16, but it's called Cabernet, and I think there's 2 of the Bordeaux varietals. It's just not going to be the same every year because it's whatever comes in that we feel is going to be.
This is changing in
the right
glass
mix,
even. It's evolving just as we sit here.
Yeah, and we just opened it, so I mean, this wine will really. Yeah, 3 hours ago. It's been open for 3 hours.
Oh, we have should we have a producer?
We have
right
a producer
3
right
hours.
here.
Hey, it's great
But I think
having
that
you here.
continue to. I mean, it's 15, so that was like the epitome of that was an ultimate drought vintage, right?
Yes.
So really natural concentration, pretty tight concentrated wines. I don't think this one's overly concentrated, but
No, it's
but I
great.
think that it continues to evolve and open up.
You know what's fun about this wine is the nose tells you so much about it before you taste it. There's so much.
It
going
does,
on.
yeah.
Really expressive. Well, Josh, it's great having you here.
Yeah,
I hope
thanks
we can
so much
see you
for
again,
having
and
me.
I hope we're gonna come up to Napa and go to the press,
Let's
taste
do
some
it.
wines together, and talk the old days. Well, I'm part of the old days, but we'll talk about some of these things.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, I saw the Wente. It's my
Yeah.
dad grew up in Livermore, so that was
Oh,
one
he-
of the first families that inspired him actually.
Wente, and was it LeBlanc de Blanc was the other one? That's White Bell.
Concannon and
Yeah,
Wente.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
big time. Cheers.
Cheers.